All right. So hello world, and hello Giovanny.
Hello,
Welcome.
hello.
Yes. So I am super excited to introduce to you all this businessman. His name is sorry, I'm always calling you Gio.
That's
My
perfectly
bad.
fine too.
His name is Giovanny Ramirez. And let me share a little bit about him. He is all about motivating professionals to develop into living their best life. So that means he is a career coach and he supports his clients to land their dream jobs. Plus, he's the author of the upcoming book, Your Perfect Interview. Can't wait for that. And he's also about ready to launch his own radio show. And he has other things in the works. So, yeah, tell the world a little bit more about who you are as a coach, as a businessman, please.
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you, Beth. I really appreciate, feel so honored to sit here and have this interview with you. You're a person that I really love. I love everything that you do, all your projects from photography to your, breakthrough coaching and helping so many people. And the Black Business Connector, wow, what a concept! And I've seen that flourish and seen so many of our own friends go through that. So I really do I'm so honored to be here. So I just wanted to give you your
Oh,
flowers before we go ahead and answer some questions.
thank you. Thank you. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure to have you. And thank you so much for your time. That's a resource we can never get back. So thank you
you're
for sharing
right.
the time.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so a little bit about me. I've had a pretty storied career in finance, and on the side, I've had a really just an amazing side passion project of being a career coach. I sort of fell into it, started doing career coaching, family, friends, ex-girlfriends, and they had some good success with the ideas, the resumes, the interview tips that I was giving along, and so in 2012 after finding myself getting a job that I would probably wasn't really qualified for, I said, like I'm doing something pretty cool here. I reflected, read some books, and I said, oh my God, I'm doing everything by the book plus more. And I said,
Mm,
I'm gonna be a career coach. And I started an official practice in 2012. And it's just been a nice, beautiful career while growing my career in finance and making working for over 10 companies. Of course, starting in retail and then eventually getting into the corporate world and climbing that ladder and just making mistakes along the way and learning and seeing what works and what doesn't, and using that as leverage to really give some good tips and advice at the same time. After working for 10 different companies, you've just experienced so much with culture,
yeah.
bureaucracy, political.
Yeah.
People don't like you for whatever reason. People love you for whatever reason. So I
Mhm.
use that experience to try to really hone in and give some great advice. And I have some pretty good testimonials to back that up. So yeah, just excited, excited to see what the future brings as well.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. I feel like in all of your finance adventures, you've definitely seen how things work on the inside. And then why not share those secrets to help others get to where they want to go? I think that's
Y-
so cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll give you one secret, which a lot of people do not use, like really partner up with a great recruiter. And I'm talking about take any little project they have and go in there and knock it out of the park. I don't care if you're stuffing envelopes, knock it out of the park.
Wow.
When you build a great reputation with a great recruiter, she will send you to the biggest, to the baddest, to the most amazing companies because she's going to know your reputation leaps and bounds. And if you've got a great reputation, she's not going to be afraid to tell the client, hey, I'm sending you a rock star and then go in there and just crush it. And if it's a temp to perm, you're gonna crush it enough that they're gonna be like, hey, let's keep this guy or girl around. They're really doing a great job.
Yeah. It's so interesting because it's basically it doesn't matter whether you're like in business for yourself or if you're working to support someone else in their business as their employee. Basically, the relationships that you're building are going to be really important. And the only way to do that is if you serve with everything that you have, right?
Yes, yes.
Be the best envelope stuffer ever.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And manage your brand along with that, and part of your brand is reputation. There's
Yeah.
a kind of a crazy book called The 21 Laws of Power. And in there, there's a chapter. It says, reputation is everything. Guard it with your life. And so if you build a really good reputation, it really does mean everything and anything. And a lot of doors will open up.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. So that is kind of going to lead me to this next question. Is it your reputation that you've built, or is it something else? What do you feel in general has been your business biggest success as a coach? What is it?
I think I do approach individuals. I'll take a step back. I actually, when I was about 13 years old, maybe 14, I ran across a book that my dad just had taken out of the library, and he had left it, I think, on the floor, and I picked it up, and it was called The Celestine Prophecy. And it's a self-development book disguised under a storytelling adventure, and it's repetitive. It actually is foundational, so it actually builds, every chapter builds upon the last. And it spoke about energy and how we're all energy and how we can yield energy and power structures. And so I really approach, I think the success of my coaching has been in just being able to give people light. Like, a lot of times when you're looking for a coach, there's a little bit of darkness or there's some confusion. I call it the gray. Being in the gray is the most frustrating part of any component in your life. The gray
Mhm.
is you confused of whether you should go forward or not, whether it's a yes or a no. The quicker we can get into a no or a yes, the better things are. And so
Mhm.
if I were to really pinpoint something about my coaching is that you will leave energized. I joke around that my coaching comes with wings included, and I really try to embody that in all areas. You're going to come away with a lot of self-belief. You're going to discover new things about you, and we're going to make sure that it's properly documented on a resume that's going to be inspiring and also draws attention.
Cool. Can you share the name of that book one more time, please, Gio?
Yeah, sure thing. It's called The Celestine Prophecy.
Prophecy. Cool. I'm going to look that up. I wonder if it's still around. I'm sure it is. It sounds amazing.
It actually, so it's, of all the self-development books out there, it fell out of favor and then recently just had a resurgence. So
Oh,
it's been
really?
really cool. Yeah. I've
Huh.
seen a couple podcasts now where individuals are like, hey, I ran across this book and it changed me forever. So here's this 14-year-old boy that found it and I didn't even realize that I was applying the laws or the principles in this book until much later. So they were embedded into my consciousness some way, somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, knowing you in real life outside of this Zoom conversation,
Yeah.
I would say that that's absolutely true. You really do bring light. You definitely light up the room. You're encouraging to everyone that you meet. I never see you, cursing people out. I'm not saying you don't have a moment. No, no one's perfect, but you're always like really building up and giving back to people. And so yeah, I feel like everything you just shared is what I've witnessed in real life knowing you. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you recognizing that.
Yeah. So now I'm curious. I'd love to help some people. So a lot of people are both business owners and they have a day job, or some people are just, day job only and business is not for them. And that's totally okay. And then some people are full-time entrepreneurs. So I want to kind of delve a little bit into all of that. So someone who is working in a career, they're trying to build themselves up professionally. What are the two biggest mistakes that you've seen over the years, 10 over 10 years, right? Like 13 years now since 2012, that you've seen professionals make that hold them back from landing their dream job? And then how can they recover from those mistakes?
Yeah, I think one of the mistakes that individuals make is they put their resume out, right, and they're just shooting it everywhere. It could be for any single company under the sun, just like I need a job. And then
Mm-hmm.
what ends up happening is that obviously that's not strategically, that's not. Good. You don't have a strategy. Um, and then what happens is they keep loyalty to that employer that gave them that first job and they stick around. And a lot of times it's not even associated with their major. And so
Mm,
one of the things you want to do is like, yes, you got the job, and then do not be loyal to that job, unfortunately. Yes, they're going to waste their time and money and efforts to get you trained up, but your idea is to get into something that complements your knowledge. Remember that if you went to college and you graduated, you were an expert.
right.
Yeah, yes, it's all in theory and not in practice yet, but you're an expert and you have to have a belief in that system. And so if you go to a career that already uses that knowledge you've developed, you're gonna come across a job that really you're gonna excel at very, very quickly because you have the theory in your head and all you have to do is put it into
Yeah.
practice. So that's one way to really, really knock it out of the park. So yes, you got a job being a relationship manager at Bank of America. That's awesome, right? Good. But is that with your architectural major or is that with your sociology major? No.
Mm.
And so, okay, get the job, start making some money, you got to pay the bills. But then continue to look, continue to look, and you're going to nail that job.
In other words, don't get comfortable.
Yes. In other words, don't get comfortable and continue with a strategy. So have a strategy to continue in getting into a place where it's really going to complement your knowledge for sure and your skill sets.
Yeah. I think it's so easy to settle too. You probably get a lot of people who feel all sorts of ways about themselves.
Very true. Yeah. As a coach, I think it's important to meet your client where they're at and then try to raise them up from there on out. So if you're not identifying where your client is, I think you're it's going to be a mismatch, right? And finding a good coach is like finding a relationship. Not every coach
Yeah.
is gonna strike you. Not every coach is gonna be the one for you. That person that was successful with another person might entirely be a failure with another. And
Yeah.
so it's like finding a good relationship. Look for a coach, interview coaches, and when you find one that says, "Hey, this guy gives me the vibes," or "This girl gives me the vibes,"
Yeah.
then all hands on deck and work with them to really get to the next level for sure.
It's so true. It's not, it, some, yeah, not everyone is a good fit in
Yeah,
a relationship. Not everyone's supposed to be married to everyone. Just
exactly.
like
Yeah.
not everyone's meant to work with a coach. And it's not like a personal thing, or it doesn't mean anything's wrong with you if you know, on either side, the coach's side or the client's side. But yeah, sometimes it's just not a good fit.
Yeah, yeah. And then I'll give you the second tip because you did ask me for the second mistake. And
Please.
the next mistake that really holds individuals back is that they will spend hours editing this resume. Like
Mm,
they spend hours tolling every nook and cranny of it. Or sometimes they don't, but this is generally true for everyone, right? They spend so much time on the resume and then they don't spend any time practicing interviewing. And it's like going to
mm,
play this massive like NBA game and you didn't warm up. You got to do your free throws before the game. You got to warm up. And so, apply for jobs that you don't even like or want. Go in there, do that interview, get used to being in a stressful situation. You're probably not even going to be stressed. You're probably going to get that job because you're going to be walking in there knowing that you don't really care about this position. And it's going to give you a little bit of like real life practice.
mhm.
Or the second thing is even as an interview coach for me, right? I'm still growing my career in finance. Like, you better believe it. If I'm going to go and interview somewhere, I'm going to call a friend and I'm going to be like, hey, here's this list of questions. Please ask me because I'm going to warm up. And so
Yeah.
the lessons that I share, the mock interviewing, all the stuff that I do with my clients, I do myself. I put it into practice myself. And I can only tell you, I've gotten into companies that like I can't believe the people that I was working with, the Ivy League individuals that I was holding accountable. And I
Wow.
graduated from a little Joe Schmo college. And so this stuff works. So
Yeah.
yes, spend multiple amounts of time on your resume, but don't forget to equally spend that time on interviewing and doing your warm up. Well, you got to be ready when you're into the big game and into the big leagues.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like sometimes this is in general for people, whether they're business owners or a professional looking to get their dream job. Sometimes done is better than perfect. Sometimes that gets you so caught up with trying to get everything perfect
Hmm.
that you don't get anywhere. You're just
Yeah.
spinning your wheels.
Yeah, that's true. You don't analysis paralysis is what we call that, right? Um, there's a thin line. I think with interview co with you practicing interviewing and working on your resume, um, there is a certain level of perfectionism that is very beneficial for those two
Right.
things. A lot of people will say, I don't have the right resume. Yeah. Yes, apply. And what's the worst? They're not going to answer back, or they say no. So if you don't have the perfect resume, I'll give you an example. If a client comes to me, they have an okay resume, but they're going to use my services to spruce it up. I tell them, okay, continue using this resume. It's good enough. All right. And then, yeah, I'll deliver yours in a week or in 2 weeks. And
Okay.
then you'll have a much better resume because a job position is not going to be open forever.
Right.
Once it's open, hundreds, thousands of candidates apply.
Right.
And so if you don't have a resume in there at all, there's definitely no chance you're going to get it, right?
Right.
So at least you give yourself a chance. And if obviously it would have been cool if we had the resume that we worked on and it's better and there's all sorts of nifty tricks to doing resumes. But if you don't put the resume in at all, you're not going to get the opportunity. And it's a lot of times it's just a couple of days that the recruiters get overwhelmed. There's thousands of resumes and they got to close the position down to go over them.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's as you can tell, it's a lot of strategy that comes along with trying to get a job position in this time. So yeah.
Keep going. Yeah. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's true. Well, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you don't put your resume out and you're just waiting on something, that opportunity might not be there next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I'll only once in a while have a client hold a not too often, but often enough where I'm like, okay, this resume, sorry, we got to
Oh, it's
stop
just
using
like,
that right
don't do it.
now. It's just you're not going to get any traction with it, or they say, oh, no one calls me back, and I look at the resume, I'm like, okay, yeah, understood why. We're gonna make it better, and I would say don't apply for the time being. But if
Okay.
the resume is decent enough, again, you might get lucky and or you might have just the right thing in there that gets the resume the attention that it needs. And at the end of the day, it's just getting the recruiter, the HR professional, the manager, the person that's going to read the resume. It's all about getting their attention. And so there's a large stack of resumes that these individuals get, and you got to get put in the stack that's going to be read in depth.
Yeah.
So capturing their attention as quickly as possible it's the best way to get a resume on that stack, that the important stack of like, okay, let's look into these candidates with a little bit more detail.
Love it. So let's do the flip side. So there is a lot of coaches out there. It's a huge industry, the coaching industry,
Very
all
true.
different types of coaches, from career coaches like yourself to marketing coaches to like fitness coaches to life coaches. So in your professional opinion, as a coach, what is the biggest mistake you feel that coaches make with working with clients?
Yeah, I think and I've done this mistake more than once, and I think sometimes coaches we fail to hold our clients' feet to the fire. So,
Mhm.
yeah, we're nice. We get into coaching because we're nice people, because we love people, because we like to develop them. And I've definitely made the mistake where I didn't push a client like hard enough, um, or I didn't hold them accountable to the 10th degree. And it's like
Yeah.
it's reading the room, right? There could be a client that really needs a lot of mindset building before they can get into this working world. And there
Mhm.
could be a client that, needs very little. And then you're just over talking and they're bored of you because the details that you're sharing are something they feel they already know, right? So it's reading the room correctly. But if anything, I would say as a coach, accountability is in the area that you are coaching in is a big component, and push your client. Most of your clients are going to grow and develop, and believe it or not, they may complain, but they'll thank you for it at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's really true. Yeah. I have sometimes failed to do that. That hold your client's feet to the fire. Yeah. Sometimes I
Yeah, it's a
do,
tough
and,
one.
and
Yeah.
sometimes it slips. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So that is
I think as a coach, then things take a little bit longer, and that's it. You always get them across the finish line, but
Yeah.
it could be the difference between a week or 6 months. And so
Yeah.
yeah, in my coaching practice, I always tell my clients like, I hope this is the last time you and I work together. And it sounds weird and it's supposed to be shocking on purpose, but the I want the coaching to be so good that you won't need me for anything else. You will be so inspired and so full of energy and hopeful for the future in your career that you won't need to come back. We can check in and say, "Hey, how you doing?" This and that. I'll check in with you, you check in with me to just see how we're doing as human beings. But my hope and dreams is that I've pointed you in the right direction so strongly that you hopefully will never need my services again, or maybe later on you make so much money that you're like, I can spruce up my resume again, and I don't
Just
have to
for
work on it,
fun.
just just because I can now, right? And so yeah, I think a great coach, the mark of a great coach sends their clients, and their clients should hopefully achieve even more than them.
Yeah.
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 So I'm very proud of the clients that have, outperformed even my, annual salary and achievements. But I think it's like a kung fu movie, right? Where
Yeah.
that kung fu master, never made the championship, but his student goes and, wins all the tournaments, right?
Yeah. No, it is a good feeling to see that person really go out and do what it is, whatever it is that they're trying to do, like
So
to
true.
actually like live it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
It's the best feeling.
It is. It's really satisfying. You're like, ooh, I helped with them. Like
Yeah.
they're happy
Yeah.
and yeah, it's good to see. So what does the next level of success look like for you? I'm curious. Now, I know I briefly mentioned at the beginning when I introduced you, you have a radio show coming out soon, and you have a book that's about ready to launch called The Perfect Interview. So I don't know if you want to talk about those things
Yeah.
or if there's something else that you want to share with what the next level looks like for you.
Yeah, the next level for me is so I've been developing some tools and concepts for really group coaching
Okay.
particularly when it comes to interview coaching.
Okay.
Um, I've tested out a couple concepts. Things have been working, really pushing individuals to grow and develop and have breakthroughs when it comes to communication in an interview setting. And so my goal is to get into colleges, universities, nonprofits that help people develop. And, after being in this corporate ladder and climbing the ladder and still climbing it in some sense, I've been, privy to interviewing a lot of individuals.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that just don't know how to promote themselves, market themselves, brand
Mm,
themselves. And so, the colleges, are so focused on getting these individuals,
yeah.
educated and to survive this 4 or 5 year degree or even longer, that it's very hard for them to like hold them accountable to learn how to market themselves after the fact. And so
Yeah.
I'd love to work with colleges and really help colleges increase their statistics of individuals that got a degree from them, and then their student base went and got hired and into very successful jobs and careers. So I'd like to do that, and nonprofits as well. So that would be the ultimate goal. And
Cool.
part of that component is just getting my name out with the radio show. It's called the Breakthrough Lab.
Cool.
I'll be interviewing, I'll be interviewing in some episodes, and some episodes will be just me talking about the latest trends in hiring and different articles that I find interesting and helpful. And it's all about providing insightful, actionable advice. You can go and have a breakthrough. So the tagline is your next breakthrough starts here. And so I'm very excited about that. With the first episode being filmed this weekend. Yeah.
Yes, congratulations. I am
Yeah.
very excited for you. And
Yeah.
I see you're all ready. I see you've got your equipment right in front of you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Microphone is very
I've
impressive.
got a couple microphones here. I'm ordering a video switcher for because the studio with my partners, it's in New Jersey, so driving to New Jersey would be a little bit of a task to do that every week. And then having my the individuals that I want to interview, asking them to do that drive will also be kind of really hard. And so I've decided to also make a podcast studio in Stamford, Connecticut. So there's a couple things more to order, but it's about 90% of the way done. And I'm really excited too about having a space where, it's nice and there's still lights to put, little lights and create the branding and the signage. Um, but I'm really excited about that as well.
It'd be so cool.
Yeah, just
Next picture.
knowledge share. I think the human beings learn the most by doing things, right?
Yeah, we do.
And that usually is we end up like hitting our head on the wall a couple times. We know, "Ooh, that didn't work, right?" Um, but the best way to learn is from others. So you don't go out and make the same mistakes, and you go out and really apply the principles, the laws, the knowledge of what someone already went through. And
Yeah.
so the idea is for someone to have a breakthrough on this show because they heard that golden nugget, because they heard that drop of wisdom that where someone made the mistake and found the better path. So the idea is to further people along with actionable insightful advice. Yeah.
Yeah. The thought just occurred to me that this is kind of like the best of both worlds because you're in Stamford, Connecticut, but your partner's in New Jersey. So depending on who you're interviewing and how that works, you could go back and forth potentially even. You know,
Yeah. Yes, yes, exactly.
yeah, it
And
does
I
give
thought the
you a
same.
lot of leeway for reaching people to interview.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm super excited. And another component of just trying to get my name out is on this book, Your Perfect Interview, actually. And I named it Your Perfect Interview because it's really all about you. It's really
Yeah,
about
it
the
is.
individual that is reading the book and hopefully getting some insight as to how they're going to present themselves in the best way. And so, I always tell my clients, particularly that are doing interview coaching with me, that if you went in there and did your best, that you're going to walk in there so empowered. And if they don't choose you, you're going to be happy because
Yeah,
they weren't going to appreciate you in the first place
right.
because you went in there, you're the candidate, you're the best choice, you communicated the best, you had the best experience or the best drive, the best motivation. And if they didn't see that you did your job, that you did all the check marks, then you're going to find a better place. And so, no crying over spilled milk that no
No,
one was going to drink anyway.
that no one wanted anyway.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but it's true. When we've prepared our best. Now, if we haven't prepared our best and we're sloppy and like we haven't brushed our teeth before the interview or we haven't bothered to get dressed properly or like we wrote our resume 2 hours before the interview, then of
Hmm.
course, there is responsibility that's
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
on us, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you
I
really
think a
put
lot
your
of resentment. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, what were you gonna say?
I think a lot of the resentfulness or even anger that we get is not over the things we do, but the things we didn't do, right?
Yeah,
If we said we were going to get up at 6 a.m. and we didn't, that's when we get a little angry at ourselves. And so the closer we are to doing the things we say we're going to do, the more content we are, the more we can walk around with confidence, right?
yeah. It makes that no unimportant.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes that no is for then. It's sometimes not forever. I think this is in my experience. I don't know how
Hmm.
it works with your experience, but in business sometimes it's just not the right time for someone to have a photo shoot, right? But also no can mean later. And so a company potentially could call someone in for a different position. Possibly. Like
Very true.
they
Yeah.
interviewed you, you weren't for whatever reason fitting that particular need that they had, and that's okay. But maybe something else opens up, and maybe that person spoke with you, was impressed by something, and calls you back in. I don't know if that's ever happened, but I feel like
Oh, I got
things can,
stories.
things can like no's can
Yeah.
become yeses.
Oh, big time, big time. And
Yeah.
it and there's a good saying in sales, which is a no is not as no is a not now. And so there is if you went through the interview process, right, and you got to the last two and they
Hmm.
didn't choose you, follow up. Hey,
Yeah.
the candidate that they hired might completely be bombing and they're looking for a way out. And believe me, I've seen it, I've experienced it, and my client, and when I give my clients advice, they've experienced it as well. Go back to the employer and tell them, hey, I really love this position. I can't get it out of my mind. It really spoke to me. I know that, I was the last one of two candidates. Is there a position that's open? What a position could have opened that day.
Right. You
And
just don't know.
and then they're usually companies are move forward is very little move back. And so they're not going to call back candidates that they interviewed a year ago, 6 months ago. They're going to go and post the position again and go through that whole process. And so if you check back, number one, you're going to look good because, hey, you actually want that job, right?
Yeah.
You had the cojones to come back to that job and say, hey, I really like it. Is it still available? And number two, they don't have to do so much work because they already sort of were on the fence or like nearly chose you.
Hmm.
And so for them, it's almost like a no-brainer. We recently, a good colleague of ours, recently she's going to move to a different country. And so we were able to, she's really good. So we were able to accommodate her. But if she for some reason, if we couldn't make it work, or or if she had she would have gotten a different position with a different company. I mean, there was a candidate that we interviewed that hadn't been chosen recently, and I'm like, hey, this guy seems great. He has a lot of drive. I think, it would be a little bit of a learning curve for him, but I'm definitely willing to explore this gentleman again. Maybe he has a job already, but I definitely knew he wanted to get hired with
Part
us,
of
and
the team.
I think that going back to old candidates, it's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a secret too. Go back to an and send that email. Say, hey, I really, really liked the position. I actually was visualizing working in your department.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
I completely think this job that I will do a great job for you and add a lot of value to your company. Is this job still available? And
Mm.
heck, you're opening and creating a new opportunity for you.
Yeah. So cool. Oh my gosh. I am so excited. Anyone who listens to this is going to be so encouraged because I think people get anxious about different acceptances or what happens when they don't get accepted. And so, yeah, I think this conversation is so amazing. Thank you, Gio. You're
Thank
really
you, Beth.
bringing light to people's lives.
I do hope, it's and a lot of the stuff I've applied myself, guys.
Yeah.
I'll tell one short story that will illuminate this a little bit further. I went and interviewed for one of the largest financial companies in the world, and at one point the most successful. And they put me through a stress test, and I ended up like bombing it in their eyes.
Like a
And
stress test, like the physical medical type stress
no,
test.
like a
Oh,
psychological stress test.
yeah.
And so in their eyes, I had bombed it. And I came out of the interview, and then I was like, you know what? They don't know what they want. And so I went back and I wrote an email to the recruiter, and it was a very long email. logically, rationally laid out as to what I thought they were looking for and how they weren't going to get it with the type of test that they were conducting. The recruiter agreed and brought me back to interview for the department head 2 months later, and I became the manager of the documentation process. And so
Wow.
you can create opportunities, you
Yeah.
know, you can 100%. And so don't be afraid to revisit, especially if you really like the job. If you thought, I can see myself working here for 5 years, 10 years, the culture is great, the people are great, the pay is great. The work-life balance, whatever you find attractive for your life, if that company was that important to you, go back and crush it and try to create an opportunity for you. Heck, send a message to the CEO on LinkedIn. What's the worst
Yeah.
that can happen?
Why not?
You might just get blocked. Or
You never know.
he might say, "Hey, I heard about you as a candidate. Let's bring you in for an interview."
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, well, to simplify, as my grandmother used to say, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And you do
So true.
really have to stand up for yourself, like self-advocacy. And I think somehow a lot of times we're trained, maybe more so as women than as men, like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. And to just like take it with good manners and go. And you did have really good manners, but you stood up for yourself. You advocated for yourself and you were like, hey, this is what I'm noticing.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. And you actually mentioned something really cool that I think when it comes to I would say 90% of my clients have been women, which has been really unique because I get to have an insight into like the female brain and the challenges
Mm,
that they find in the workforce and getting employment. And so, one of the strengths I try to impart is negotiation
mm,
and in that follow through, right? What you just mentioned, which is like, advocate for yourself, um, and negotiate. I think there's a natural order of how women just like to be a little bit nice, or they don't have like that testosterone drive, right? That that governs men to challenge everything. And so, having just a little bit of that usually increases your career. You get better promotions, and you get noticed more. And so you have to vouch for yourself, and you have to be your own campaigner, so to speak. So you're out, you are not just doing the responsibility, but at the same time, you're campaigning for yourself for that next opportunity.
yeah. Yes. But you're not in it alone because you've got Giovanni Ramirez helping you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been a long, beautiful ride up since 2012. It really since 2009, even before then. But it's been really great. It's a passion project. I've been really just very selective with the clients as well.
Mhm.
I've worked for many individuals like just completely free, just because it's a passion project. And but don't do that, please, as a coach, if you're listening.
Do not
Um,
follow that
yes, yes,
example. Charge
exactly.
what
Yeah.
you're worth.
Yeah, charge for your worth, charge for the advice. And and if coaching is your full time, then definitely you have to as a coach, I think um learn how to ask for and charge for your services. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Yep. That's probably a whole nother conversation.
That's like a 2 hour episode.
Yeah, that could be unpacked. So I am curious. I just have a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
One of the last two questions I would like to ask you is, what do you believe the secret sauce is that many entrepreneurs miss? So not just coaches. This is just like a general
Yeah.
entrepreneurship question.
Oof, man. I have to I have to say, I think it's like the small mindset, but not knowing you have the small mindset. And I will say I'm still trying
Yeah.
myself to crack that nugget, because there
Well,
are people that are builders and they know how to scale things, right?
yeah.
And so scalability of your business is probably the most important. So that's a nugget I'm still trying to crack. So I tell individuals, hey, I can coach you to your first 200,000, 250 a year. I
Hmm.
can get you there. If you're looking for that salary that's about 800,000, that I'm not your coach. I'm still trying to crack that nugget, right? And so and so it's a different mentality once you get into those larger leagues. And so the same thing would go for entrepreneurs, I think. You have to really think about what you're not thinking, which sounds silly in itself, but like, where is your small mindset, right? I have friends that are insanely successful, like beyond belief, and I have friends that are struggling with their small business, right? So what is it? What are the things that you're not seeing that you need to see? And a lot of that comes with coaching, with
Yeah.
looking elsewhere and thinking with an expansive mindset. And so, I'll personally tell you that I'm on the way. Like the nugget is open for me. It's cracked, but there's so much more levels that I need to go
Yeah.
through to really think like a big business builder. And
Yeah.
I see it. I see the vision,
Hmm.
and then it's just about charting. Um, there's two ways of thinking it, like from the beginning to get into the next stage, or to the next step, or you could see the end goal and try to chart it backwards. So what is each step, right? Um, from careers, I'll tell you a little hack to to like crushing it in your career.
Okay.
Um, go it's all public information now. Let's say you want to be the head of the healthcare services for a regional medical system, right?
Okay.
Okay. What do? Go to LinkedIn, find
Mhm.
out who the head is, who the heads are of these organizations, and just look at what they've done and just copy and paste. They got
Yeah.
this degree from there. They went to work for this company. They got this certification. They went to work for this company. The playbook is wide open. It's right there
Mhm.
for you. And
It
it's
is
the
laid out in
ultimate
black
hack.
and white or blue and white on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
ultimate hack. And so if you're confused but you want to go big, like say, I would like to achieve X, right? LinkedIn, go check out what all the people that have achieved X have done and just follow the same playbook. They've already done it. And obviously there's IQ and brain power and all that that's needed. But
Yeah.
you'd be surprised how many people reach it to insane success, and they're not the smartest. They just had chutzpah, great connectors, great relationship builders, and most importantly, knowing how to leverage. They knew how to delegate and leverage, which that right there is a skill set that's just incredible. Yeah.
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 So yeah, scalability, big business mindset, figure out what you're not thinking of. Um, and I think that is where entrepreneurs really miss the mark, for sure.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too. Like, because it's like a big deal, right? When you start a business. And it's a big deal, especially if you don't know what you're doing and you build your own website or you get your EIN number or you like do the paperwork and it's like a big deal. And so then you think like, oh my gosh, I'm doing big things. And those are big things at that time.
Or they
But
seem like big
like, it
things, you
doesn't
know?
mean that that's where it's always, it's not supposed to just rest there. I think for
Yeah.
example, right? It occurred to me a few years ago that if I ever wanted to scale and sell my photography business, I can't because I named it Babs Photography,
Yeah.
which is like a nickname. And
Hmm.
so my trademark is you make my shutter go click. Now, if I had named my business the same thing as I named my trademark, that could be scalable to sell.
Very
I
true.
mean,
Yeah.
I could change the name. I could always just go through the paperwork and change the name.
Hmm.
Maybe I will. But like, what is that exit strategy? And then after you exit, what are
So
you
true.
going to go? Where are you going to go next? But yeah, like there's a lot of things that we don't think about, and then we don't really see that big,
Yeah.
or we're thinking we're seeing the big vision, but we're not.
Yeah, yeah. And I think here's the second part too, which is I think it's in tandem with the big brain thinking, big expansive brain, which is like OPP, right? Other people's money. And a lot of times entrepreneurs they're just so hesitant to go out and fundraise for their business. It could be for a plumbing business, right?
Hmm.
You've got enough clients. You can take out a small loan or you bring on an investor, right? And let's say you bring on an investor, just have the conversation. Hey, don't put don't, if you want to invest in this company, don't, you know, go out and refinance your home and completely put your home at risk. Put excess money that you can say, hey, if I lose this money, it's not going to completely
Right.
drain me, right? And
Right.
have that conversation with your investors, because business is risky. There's all sorts of stuff that can happen. The principal can die. The economic times come. Sometimes you just start your business at the wrong time. It's a
Mhm.
great idea, just not the right time.
Yeah.
Um, I would say if you start a business when economic times are bad and
Mhm.
it's doing good, then it's a great business idea because when the economy picks back up, it's gonna do great, right?
Yeah.
So I think people would say, "Oh, the economy's down. It's you shouldn't start a business." I think it's
No.
the opposite. The economy's down. Start a business if it's
Yep.
making money, if it's paying part of the bills, then this business is gonna do much better when the economy picks back up because it will. Economies go
Yeah.
up and down.
Yeah.
But other people's money is very important. So, don't be afraid that if you have a great idea to, create a pitch deck and go in and find an investor and just make sure that the investor is not over leveraging themselves.
Yeah. It's a good
Although
point.
it's their responsibility, but just have the conversation like, hey,
Phil,
you can lose all your money here. I have skin in the game. You have skin in the game. We have a plan. Here's what it is. If you're in, let's go all in. And that extra money will go a long way. Advertising, product development, R&D. Um, and so I think a lot of nice businesses came out of people not afraid to ask their family and friends or some wealthy individual that they knew for that startup money. If you wait to have the money yourself, you'll miss the boat, you'll miss the trend. So yeah, don't be afraid. OPP, other people's money.
I feel like advocating for yourself just came back up again.
It does, yeah. But it's like
Good
just
life skill to have.
yeah, yeah. Or sometimes it's like the entrepreneur can feel
Oh,
so
sorry.
responsible to lose someone else's money. And just know if that investor like knows the risks, like you don't have to be afraid. The investor already did their risk analysis and said, "Hey,
Mhm.
this is worth like
Taking
uh
the fall for
best."
or
Exactly. Yeah.
promotion for.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I've recently lost that, I wouldn't say fear, just that hesitance.
Mm,
Oh, not fear of asking for investors for money, but fear of having that responsibility. So
yeah,
I would say that's a breakthrough that I've had like completely go away recently. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, yeah. Because it is a responsibility, but then everything is a responsibility. And so we don't even think of it necessarily, but looking both ways to cross the street is a responsibility. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you might get hit, but it's your responsibility to make sure someone else doesn't have an accident too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. And at the end of the day, if everything's on the table, everyone has the same information, everyone can analyze it and think for themselves, what's their risk tolerance?
Yeah.
And once they give you that yes, then go all in. Just
Go
be a
for it.
good steward, a good steward of the investment that someone has made in you. Don't go out there and buy a Lambo with the $1 million that they just, invested in your great
Mm.
big idea. Like we hear those stories all the time. And it's just
Yeah.
it's not a
Have
it's
respect for the
yeah,
support.
exactly,
Have
exactly, yeah.
respect. You'll get
Yeah.
your Lambo.
No, yeah, earn the Lambo
Dividends.
too. Yeah.
Yes. So, so Giovanni, how is it that people can connect with you? Because you have
Yeah.
this radio show coming up, you've got this book coming up, you're an amazing career coach. You're just really good if someone is even just looking for general life, what to do in life type
Yeah.
brain picking, coaching, consultation sessions. So, how do people connect with you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can find me on Instagram primarily, at the World of Geo, GIO. That is where I put all the adventures I get into. And you would say, career coach, why aren't you producing on LinkedIn, right? But LinkedIn is, LinkedIn is just such a platform that is I like to work with people where they're showcasing their personality, and I just find Instagram is such a great tool where people showcase their personality. You can catch my radio show from starting in March at sosradio.live, and so that'll be a show that comes that is launches every day every Sunday at 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Yeah, 4 p.m. on Sunday. And and then if you want to reach me through like any coaching practice or career opportunities or if you a speaking engagement, you can find me at giovannyramirez.com. And that's Giovanni spelled with two N's and a Y. giovannyramirez.com.
Yes. I can't believe that I did not share that you're also a speaker. Oh my goodness. How did I leave that out in your introduction?
It's too
So
much. Don't
yes,
worry about it.
Gio is
Do not
an
worry about it.
amazing speaker. I've heard him speak. He really like gets his audience invested in, and then you'll really learn good life lessons. I mean, it's really inspirational speaking. So yes, if you want a speaker for your next event, hit Gio up.
Thank you. You speak too highly of me, Beth, but I really, really
Too
appreciate
highly of
it.
you. No.
No, I really, really appreciate you and in our friendship. I still remember the day I met you, the exact moment,
Oh,
and I just knew your energy, your aura, that you were just such a special human being on this planet. So I know exactly the moment. And so it's so nice to still be connected with you
yeah.
after all these years. And I look forward to doing a lot more things with you. I look forward to the next photography set
Yeah.
from you, our next photo shoot.
Sure. Yeah. I'm ready whenever you are.
Yeah,
I'll just grab
totally.
my bag and be on my way. But yeah, no, this was so much fun chatting with you. I really do appreciate your time. And you always are just so inspiring and you really give solid insights, solid um suggestions. And I mean, just on this conversation alone, I feel like if someone listened to it and applied everything that you shared, they would automatically elevate to another level.
Yeah, yeah. That's the goal. That's the goal to continue sharing wisdom and learning. And I've learned from you, and just look for insights and little nuggets everywhere. And so I hope the little bit of information I've shared today is impactful in some way, and that somebody just goes out there and crushes
So
it.
crush it.
Crush
Crush it
it.
in your business, crush it in your career, crush it in both if you're doing both. But
Exactly.
yes. Yes, and I do really appreciate our friendship too. We always have really great conversations, and this is just like another one. So, yay.
Thank you, Beth. Appreciate you.
Yeah, before we wrap up, is there any last thought or anything you wanted to share?
Yeah, sure. I think overall, guys, remember that we're here in a journey to learn, to explore, and just to learn how vast and expansive and beautiful we all are as
Wow.
individuals. So no matter what you're going through in life, just know that you're here for the journey and have fun. Don't forget to have fun along the way. I promise you that at the end, there is an answer, and we don't know what that is. But I can tell you that there are answers that will come. at
Yeah.
some point. And so have fun along the way. There's a quote that said something along the lines like, humans complicate what the gods made for fun.
It's so true. We
And
way overthink things.
yeah, and so again, just don't forget to have fun along the way.
Enjoy your life. I mean, it's going to be your dream life, so you better enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the
Exactly.
point?
Yeah, totally. Thank
Well,
you,
thank
Beth.
you so
Appreciate
much.
you.
I appreciate you. Thank
Yeah, I
you.
look forward to our catch up and in our next